If you've ever felt like you're just not good at exercise and it's held you back from sticking to your workouts, this video is for you. This is such a common issue. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who have said they really want to exercise more, but they have this mental block about it. They just don't like to work out. It feels too hard or overwhelming. They feel intimidated. They have these beliefs in the back of their mind telling them that they're not coordinated, they're not fit, they're not good at exercising. You can overcome those limiting self beliefs and grow into someone who is good at exercise, who feels confident in an exercise setting, who, believe it or not, actually likes to work out. Now, I'm not going to promise that you're going to love every minute of your workout if you follow this advice. Exercise is still hard, it just is. But you can use the strategies I'm about to share to help you overcome a lot of your limiting beliefs and maybe find a spark of joy in your workouts. So here's what I'll be covering in this video: how your limiting beliefs about exercise hold you back, what are mastery experiences and why are they important, and how to create mastery experiences for yourself. I'm going to talk specifically about strength training here, but this same concept could apply to any kind of exercise. So let's do this. Now, we all have these stories that we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of. Sometimes we notice them, but often they're subconscious. We don't even realize that we have these beliefs about ourselves. So you might think you're just not an exercise person. You just don't like strength training. You're not a sporty or coordinated person. You're not naturally strong, whatever it is. Now, often these personal narratives come from your early experiences. So a lot of people had negative experiences in gym class or on sports teams when they were kids. A lot of people have had uncomfortable experiences in group fitness classes or with maybe not so great personal trainers. I know I have. When you have these limiting self-beliefs, they can seriously hold you back. So if you think you're not an exerciser, if you see yourself as someone who's not very fit or coordinated, or you think you don't like strength training, you might, consciously or not, hold yourself back from actually trying too hard. And that can have huge implications for your results. So maybe you'll easily find excuses to skip your workouts, or maybe you'll choose weights that are too light or avoid pushing yourself hard when you do make it to a workout. The thing is, these narratives are just stories that we tell ourselves. They're not necessarily true, or at least they don't have to be. So the key here is, once you've identified that you have a limiting self-belief when it comes to exercise, is to start challenging it and prove to yourself that a different narrative is actually true. So you need to build an accurate representation of your current capabilities, regardless of what you've been telling yourself. And you do that in your workouts using something called mastery experiences. So mastery experiences are opportunities to achieve a small goal or build on a skill. So they're a chance to get a little better at something in a tangible way. And you could also think about it as taking on a small challenge and feeling like you successfully achieved it. So I want to make it really clear that mastery experiences are different than achieving long-term goals. This is not like setting a goal of being able to bench press half your body weight and then celebrating a few months later when you achieve it, right? That would feel great, but what we need to do in order to combat those limiting self-beliefs you have about exercise is to stack up hundreds of little wins. Because our brains are kind of stubborn and because those limiting beliefs can be so deeply ingrained, the way you start to rewire your brain is by giving it evidence on top of evidence on top of evidence through your actions that your old narratives are not true and that your new ones are. So one faraway outcome is just not enough. You need lots of consistent progress. So a mastery experience would be aiming to do one more rep with the same weight than you did last time and then doing it, or increasing the weight slightly and being able to lift it, or doing a slightly more advanced version of an exercise and feeling successful at it. So an example of doing a slightly more difficult version of an exercise would be something like this. These are incline push-ups with my hands on a barbell at different heights. So the lower the bar is, the harder the push-up is. So if you start with the bar at chest height and then you lower the height of the bar an inch, that's a slightly harder variation. So every time you lower that bar just a little and you're still able to do a push-up on it, that's a mastery experience. And I'll show you this in more detail in a few minutes. Now, otherwise, a mastery experience can be a little more subtle. So moving a little more smoothly in an exercise, like maybe you've been working on your squats and they always feel a little shaky and you feel like you're gonna fall backwards. But then you start to really focus on grabbing the floor with your feet and bracing your core, and you find that you feel more stable and strong and smooth while you're doing it. That's a mastery experience. Or moving through a bigger range of motion. So maybe when you first start out, you're only able to squat down a little bit, but next time you try to go down just a little further and you're able to do it. That would be a bigger range of motion, and that would be a mastery experience. Or feeling more comfortable in the gym, or learning how to set up a piece of equipment, or feeling more confident to push yourself at the end of a workout. In each and every strength training session, there are so many opportunities for mastery experiences. That's one of the things that I think is really special about strength training, even compared to other types of exercise. It gives you so many of these opportunities. So in a single workout, right, you might do, let's say, 6 exercises, and you do 3 sets of 10 reps for each exercise. That's 18 separate sets. That's 180 total reps, right? That's dozens of opportunities for mastery experiences. And each of those mastery experiences help you rewire your brain. So yes, each one individually might be small, but that doesn't matter, right? Sometimes you'll have a big mastery experience where you move up to a new weight or you move to a harder version of an exercise and you'll feel especially awesome. But even those small, subtle, positive experiences repeated many times will add up to big changes. The other important thing is that once you stack up a bunch of mastery experiences, you start to get better at the skills of strength training. So you're better at bracing your core, you're more connected to your body, your movement skills are better, you're better at choosing the right weights, you're better at pushing yourself the right amount, you're better at being patient and persistent. You start to get good at strength training. And it's a lot more enjoyable to do something you feel like you're good at than it is to do something you feel like you suck at, right? So if you start to feel like, hey, I think I might have a knack at this, I think I might have some skills here, even if they're just early skills, you're going to want to explore and practice and get better. So if you feel like you're not good at exercise, or you have these other limiting beliefs about strength training, what you need to do is set yourself up to have as many mastery experiences in each workout as possible. So that means scaling your exercises and your workouts so they're just a little challenging, a little bit of a reach, but not too much. And then very intentionally focusing your effort on doing a little more in each workout. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do both of those things. Now, this is something that's kind of counterintuitive if you're used to the mainstream fitness industry, right? It's usually no pain, no gain, and you have to be constantly keeping your body guessing, pushing yourself as hard as you can until your muscles basically fail, right? Grinding yourself into the ground or to exhaustion to get a good workout. The underlying idea here is that exercise is about punishing and controlling your body, and honestly, that could not be further from the truth. The truth is, exercise is a skill, and like any other skill, the way you get better at it is to set yourself up to be successful and then move systematically from one level to the next, right? It's like if you want to learn to play the guitar, do you practice the guitar one day and then the banjo the next, and then the bass, and then the ukulele in an attempt to keep yourself guessing, right? Do you strum away as hard and as long as you can to try to tire yourself out? No, of course not. If you're trying to teach a kid how to swim, how do you do it, right? You take it slow, step by step, setting them up for success as they build their skills and confidence and moving to the next level when they're feeling ready, right? You don't just throw them in the deep end. So the fact that we try to do it this way with exercise is so completely ridiculous to me. Of course, people are going to feel like they're not good at working out when they're getting put through workouts intentionally designed for them to fail. So here's how to do it the right way and set yourself up for success. So first, we shrink the change. So that means starting with small and manageable challenges. So at the very beginning, you should be working on the simple basics, just getting to the gym consistently, getting comfortable in a gym environment or with your equipment, learning how to do the basic exercises with good form, which means moving slowly and under control. If you have to do an easier version of the exercise to be able to do it properly, then that's what you should do. So that's called scaling your exercises to your ability level. For example, let's talk about push-ups. So I often see people who can't do full push-ups from the floor because they're really hard. So they compensate by doing it from their knees, which is not a good idea. It changes the biomechanics of the exercise, or by only lowering themselves down an inch and using terrible form. And then they wonder why they're not getting better at push-ups. Or worse, they think, I'm just not strong enough. I'm just not good at push-ups. Like, no, that's the exact opposite of what we want. So instead of trying to do an exercise or lift a weight that's too hard or too heavy for you right now and then feeling like you failed at that exercise, you make the weight lighter or the exercise easier to match where your strength and ability level is right now. Whatever that is, that's fine, you're good. And that's called scaling your exercises. So for push-ups, watch this video here, you take the full push-up exercise and you scale it to the right difficulty for you by putting your hands on an elevated surface. If I can get that sound off. So like here I'm doing incline push-ups with my hands on that barbell in a power rack and doing the full exercise with good form, right? Chest all the way down to the bar. Core braced, entire body moving up and down as one solid piece. Now, it takes some trial and error to figure out what that right height would be for you. So the way you figure it out is just by taking a guess and giving it a try. So you start with the bar around chest level usually, and keep lowering it down until you cannot maintain that good push-up form anymore. So then you know, okay, that was too hard. I need to go back up a little. That's going to be my starting point. And then you work on that for a while. And when you get stronger and that's too easy, you go to a slightly lower surface that's more challenging, but you can still do the full exercise properly. So I'm lowering the height of the bar here. I'm doing that by lowering the height of those little hooks. They're called J-cups, or J-hooks, excuse me. And then putting the barbell into those hooks. And then when that's too easy, you go slightly lower again, and then slightly lower again, and so on, until eventually you can do a full floor push-up. So when you use weights, you should be choosing a weight for each exercise that's a little challenging, but still manageable. And that's basically the same process of trial and error. So some people are hesitant to do this, right? That doing an easier version of an exercise, it doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart because you understand the value of having these mastery experiences and building this foundation of confidence and skills. And later, once you've overcome this idea that you're not good at exercise, then you can really push yourself hard and take on big challenges and aim for really heavy weights if that's what you want to do. Trust me, there will be plenty of time for that later. This is not the time to do that. For now, make sure that every exercise you attempt, you can feel like you've got it under control, you can crush it. The next step, once you have scaled the exercise down and gotten really good at it, is to start making some progress, doing a little more in each session. And again, we want to shrink the change here and make each progression small and achievable. So basically, in each exercise, you should be aiming to do just a little more than you did last time. And there are a few ways you could do that. You could increase the weight a little for the same number of reps. You could do more reps with the same weight. You could do a slightly harder version of the exercise, like in those incline push-ups where you're a little closer to the ground. or squats where you go just a little lower. All of those are progressions. You want to do this very slowly and carefully, though. Remember, you want to set yourself up for success each time. So if you try to increase the weight or reps too much, you risk using poor form or not being able to complete your goal. And then you're getting the wrong message. You're learning that you're not strong enough to progress. We want the exact opposite. Every time, or at least almost every time, you challenge yourself in your workout, I want you to be successful at that challenge. And this is what I do with my clients when they're first starting out. I only give them challenges that I know they're going to be able to achieve. I make sure they feel some wins in every single workout. So let me give you a specific example here. So for myself and for my clients, I use a system of progression that I call the repetition range method. So I have a separate video that explains this concept and that system in more detail. So I'll just give you like a quick overview here. For this method, you pick a repetition range. So I'll use 8 to 12 repetitions as an example this time. You start by finding the weight that makes it challenging to do the bottom number in the range, so 8 reps in this example. Again, with perfect form, so it's still manageable. And then every time you do that exercise again, you try to just do one more rep with that same weight, just one more. That's a progression, that's a mastery experience. And especially at the beginning, you should be able to add just one more rep in most workouts. Now, as you get more experienced, it's not always that easy to get even just one more rep, but hopefully by then you'll know that you're good at strength training, and so you'll be okay. Now, eventually, if you keep adding a rep in each workout, you'll get to the point where now you can do the top number of that range with that same weight. So that's 12 in this example. And then in your next workout, you're going to increase the weight just slightly, just a little, and start again from the bottom of that range. Now, when you increase the weight, increase it the smallest amount you can. I'm going to talk in pounds here because I'm in America, but anywhere else in the world, you'll be making these adjustments in kilograms. So if it's a dumbbell exercise, most sets of dumbbells increase by about 2.5 pounds or sometimes a 5-pound difference between them. So your gym might have a set of 10-pound dumbbells and 12.5, and a set of 15s and 17.5s and 20s and so on. Now some gyms will have increments of 5 pounds, so 10s, 15s, 20s, 25s. On weight machines at the gym, the weight stack usually goes up in increments of 10 pounds, but a lot of machines have these little in-between plates that you can add to make it just slightly heavier, usually by about 5 pounds. It kind of depends on the machine. And for barbell exercises, most gyms will have 2.5-pound plates. So if you add one of those to each side of the barbell, you're increasing the weight by 5 pounds. And some gyms have these little 1.25-pound plates. They're called change plates. So you can increase the total weight of the barbell by 2.5 pounds. So whatever the very next weight up is, that's what you want to use. Again, we don't want to be aiming for too much. We want to be able to pick up that next set of weights and definitely be able to lift it. And if that increase ends up being too small and you can do 2 more reps with that weight the next time, great, that's a bonus, that's fine. For body weight exercises, if we go back to my push-ups here, I lowered the barbell by 2 levels every time. And I did that just because it would have taken too long to film each level if I had gone one by one. But when you're actually doing this, you should lower it by about 1 level each time. And how much lower that is going to depend on how your power rack is set up, but 1 level is usually achievable for most people. So if you're working on lowering yourself down further on your squats, for example, aim to just do 1 inch lower or something like that. Now, if the jump is too big, you can lower the reps even more. So let's say you've done the rep range system on shoulder presses with a pair of 10-pound dumbbells, and you get to the point where you can do 12 reps with that weight. To get you back to 8 reps, maybe a pair of 12.5-pound dumbbells would be appropriate, but the dumbbells at your gym only go from 10 to 15 with nothing in between. Now, for some exercises, that would be fine, but some exercises like shoulder presses, that's a pretty big jump. So in that case, It's okay to drop all the way down to 5 or 6 reps or even less with that weight, right? That's still a win. That's still a mastery experience because you're using a heavier weight. And then just take your time and slowly work your way all the way back up to 12. And finally, it's absolutely essential that you keep track of your successes and celebrate them no matter how small they seem. And make sure you also include the little, like, intangible things. So if you felt a little more willing to push yourself in a workout, that's a win. If you felt like you were able to feel the right target muscles a little better, if you felt a little less tired at the end of your workout, all of those are wins. And again, this is something I do with my clients. So during and at the end of each workout, I'm highlighting each and every little improvement. Like, I get so excited when a client lifts even just a little more weight or does one more rep or tells me an exercise felt easier. So if you're working out on your own, make sure that you focus on this. Write it all down and then read those wins out loud and give yourself like a little mental high five, right? You deserve to celebrate and feel good about yourself and your progress. And you need to lock in those mastery experiences with some feel-good neurochemicals. So those are proof that this story you've been telling yourself, that you're not good at exercise, it's just not true. You're capable of getting better, of becoming someone who is good at strength training, and you're proving that in each workout. So celebrating your successes, no matter how small, helps you to internalize that new reality, and eventually you can even start to see yourself as someone who is good at this, and maybe even as someone who actually enjoys their time in the gym.